Hey guys, Antoine here, and today you will learn exactly how to turn your engine bay from this into this in only 7 single steps. Starting off with all the equipment or the tools that you need to clean the engine bay, you will first need to have a cleaner, so you could use either a degreaser, an all-purpose cleaner, or even a wheel cleaner works well for this. In my case, I have some all-purpose cleaner with a bit of car soap to make it foam a little more, so I have that in my pump sprayer right there. You could use a spray bottle, a foam cannon, or even a garden sprayer. Next, you will need multiple brushes to agitate the cleaner. So in my case, I have a bit of all sorts of brushes to get into all the areas. So this smaller brush to get into the small spots, this one for bigger areas, this one is for the hood, so under the hood right there. Next, these two to get inside all of the wires and the more intricate areas where other brushes cannot reach. But if you're limited in brushes at your home, find any brush you have, so it could be a painter's brush or even just this small brush will do the job just fine. At the end, you will need something to dry the engine bay so you don't leave any water or your degreaser on the engine bay, so that moisture doesn't build up into the wires and the electricals. So this is what this is. This is my dryer for the final steps. And at the end, all the plastics that are inside the engine bay, you will need to dress them. So in my case, I will be applying a plastic dressing with this brush. So you can apply the dressing with whatever you have. It could be some microfiber towels, some foam applicator, or even a brush. Note that I am also using a pressure washer with this gun, but you could use a normal hose to rinse off the product you just put, and it should be completely fine. Okay, so step number 1 is going to be to prepare your engine bay. So I know that a lot of people are pretty scared to wash their engine bay, as they don't want to mess up the electronics by getting water or dirt cleaner into it, so that moisture builds up and then you get more serious problems. So I will tell you exactly what you need to cover up so you do not get those problems. So the first thing you want to check is where your alternator is. So in this case, it is right there at the bottom. I know that in some engine bays it could be covered under plastics, so in that case you would not need to cover it, as water couldn't really get into it. Also, in more modern cars, you can see that a lot of things are covered in plastic, so that is great. Here you have the intake, which is covered in plastic. If it is not, you probably want to cover it, so just use a plastic bag and put it on top of it so that water don't get into it. Next, a concern for many people is the battery. A lot of people might recommend to disconnect it or maybe to remove it, but in my case, I have never done that and I have never had an issue. I think that as long as you dry properly at the end, you should really have no problem, as modern cars are built to get some water into it in the worst case, so it should really be no problem. So I will first start by covering the alternator that is right there, and then we can move on to the second step. So I have a plastic bag right here, so I just want to go ahead and cover it in the best way possible. Just like so. And if you are really scared about the battery, something you could do is just use a microfiber towel. A microfiber towel and just cover it like this, and at the end you could clean it by just using the towel itself. Okay, so the second step is going to be to dry clean the engine bay. So before you apply some water or rinse off the engine bay, you want to make sure that you don't get too much buildup. So all of this dirt that you see right there, you want to get all of this out before even rinsing. There are multiple ways to do it. I'm going to use this brush and also my blow dryer to get all of the dirt just like this. As you can see, it does make a huge difference. You could also use your vacuum with a brush and it is going to do the same exact thing. Now is the time to apply our cleaner. So I have my all-purpose cleaner right here. As I said, you could use a degreaser or even a wheel cleaner. So in this pump sprayer, I just pump it. I like to use foam a bit more because I feel like it stays in the engine bay for a bit longer than just using some soap that is runny. So I'm using this foam sprayer for that reason. Don't forget to cover this hood. Now that the engine bay is all foamed up, we can move on to the next step, which is going to be to brush with all the brushes that we have, all of the areas. So I usually start with this bigger brush and get rid of all of the big areas. So normally it's all the plastics, so just around this area, this big one, and all of those areas. So this is what I'm going to do, and then I'll do the cover. Okay, so I am done with this brush. I will use another one to get inside the areas I could not reach with this one. So this is where this longer brush comes in clutch. So I will apply some more cleaner onto it, just like so, and get inside the areas. So with this one, I can go much deeper into the wiring and the areas that we can not really see. So just get into all the spots you can, and it should get a good clean. Be careful not to be too aggressive around these areas, because you do not want to mess up the wiring. So just light agitation and be gentle. Once again, onto another brush. So apply a bit more cleaner. Also, I forgot to mention, but before you clean the engine bay, make sure that everything is cool to the touch. So if you have been running the car previously, make sure that you wait until it is not hot. And also, if it is hot outside and somehow the sun is shining on the engine bay, you probably want to make sure that you probably wait a little bit. You do not want the chemical to dry inside the engine bay, so into all the wiring. In my case, it is a pretty bad temperature right now, so it's pretty cold, and I do not have to worry about that. But if that's your case, make sure that you wait until it is cool outside or inside the engine bay. And moving on with the next step is going to be to rinse off all the product you just put on the engine bay. Make sure that you do not be too close to one piece. So just mist from a certain distance and everything should be all good. And just like that, there is no more soap in the engine bay and we are ready to dry. And then we will apply a dressing and the job is going to be all done. So what I'm going to do is use a drying towel to get rid of the excess water on the edges and also on this big plastic part. Then I will get into all of the electricals to blow dry them so that I do not leave any moisture around them. So now that the engine bay is all dried, I just removed the towel, and as you can see, the battery is still dirty, obviously, so I'm going to clean that up with a microfiber towel. Also, when cleaning an engine bay, you want to use common sense. So obviously, if you have a 1978 car, you would probably just want to clean it with a microfiber towel instead of spraying water like this and the greaser everywhere. So use common sense. The wiring may be a bit more loose, there could be some leak somewhere. So I would say on normal and more modern cars, so 2005 or more, these steps should be completely fine. If you have something a bit older, you could just spray your cleaner on a microfiber towel and just wipe. So you should get some pretty good results as well, but use common sense and don't just spray water. If you think the wiring may be a bit loose, or you have more parts that should not really get wet and that are not covered in plastics. We can then move on to the final step, which is going to be to apply a plastic dressing on all of the plastics inside the engine bay. I will need to dry a bit more because it is raining outside, so I'll try and make it quick. So I'll dry, and after I will apply the plastic dressing on every single part that I can apply it to. So like I said, I'm using Corporal Pearl with this soft bristle brush. So I will just do a couple of sprays on the brush and just brush the areas that I want to dress. The tire dressing is all applied. As you can see, the plastics came back all black and pretty good looking. So this is it. This is how you should clean your engine bay, and what works the best for me. I have never had an issue, like I said, with the battery, with the alternator, with the intake, any of those things. With the wiring, I know that you guys might be scared, and I'll show that the car still runs, so I don't get any comments saying you probably killed the car. No, I did not. So even all the wiring that is loose right there, this is all okay. Okay, so let's start the car and show you that it really does work. So start, and there you have it. But as you can see, it is working just fine. So this is what will conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you are now a bit less afraid to clean your engine bay. I want to thank all of you for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.